We've already taken a look at some of the maps that didn't make it into Source or Global Offensive, but what about the maps that never made it into Counter-Strike's final 1.6 release? Let's take a look at some of Counter-Strike's beta diffuse maps, what made them so unique, and why they weren't featured in its final version. D-Fang is a dark-themed map with many twists and turns, along with a fair amount of verticality. The map was created by Yo Beeg, also known for creating one of Counter-Strike's most popular and long-standing maps, Nuke. The map's plot is that certain paramilitary groups have attacked a Soviet ordnance depot, and other international specialists have intervened to help defend the depot. The Ts, of course, are tasked with targeting the nuclear warheads stored at the compound. The design is very interesting, and although it looks small, there are enough corridors to keep you busy for quite a while, and this is where the map fell short in actual gameplay. Although some testers claim the map was in fact balanced, in an interview the creator stated that he thought the design was too large and complex, which is ultimately what led to it being removed soon after Beta 6.1. On top of that, the very dark atmosphere and color palette made visibility a real challenge. After its removal, he would go on to edit the map and release D-Fang Light, which cleaned up a lot of the complex design and unfair sniping areas. Gameplay aside though, the atmosphere is quite nice and reminds me of some sort of cross between Assault and Havana, both of which have nice nighttime themes with purple undertones. Fun fact, Chris Macman Ashton, who I mentioned in the previous video, helped with the texture work on this map as well. Defoption takes place in a nuclear missile silo, where the Ts plan to infiltrate and destroy nuclear ordnance. The map was added in Beta 7 and was created by John Attia, who also worked on many other official maps for Counter-Strike, but we'll discuss those in another video. By far the most interesting point about this map is that it contains 3 bomb sites, which admittedly sounds interesting on paper, but proved to be horrendously T-sided in practice. I'll be honest, this was my first time playing or even hearing about the map, and upon loading it up, well, I was immediately met with the reason it was removed so soon after in Counter-Strike version 1.0. The map is a damn labyrinth. I walked for about 10 or 15 minutes and still had no idea where I was. Although the layout was confusing though, the map is a great example of quality detailing and atmosphere, obviously taking inspiration from the Black Mesa research facility seen in the original Half-Life. The variety of colored lights and miscellaneous ambient light sources around the map brought an immersive feel to it, but ultimately it was too confusing a design, especially so early in Counter-Strike's life, so the map was scrapped from the game's 1.0 release. D Rotterdam is a small to medium-sized diffuse map developed originally for version 1.1. The map was created by Rob Smulders, and although the details are not stated, judging by both the map's name and the creator's Dutch nationality, the map presumably takes place in the port area of Rotterdam, located in the Netherlands. The design and larger details remind me a bit of D-Train with its wide-open rail yard section. The layout was simple yet nicely detailed. Rotation and spawn conflict times were rather quick, and the map played well all things considered. However, much like D-Fang, the map would be removed in the same update due to various camping spots brought on by the map's verticality. If you notice a bit of a pattern here relating to tall structures, there is. Many early Counter-Strike maps were not based around verticality, at least not accessible verticality. Either way, the map was later re-released with an updated layout. This version, titled D Rotterdam 2, was on track to be featured in Counter-Strike's later releases, but due to the inclusion of D-Torn in version 1.3, Rotterdam Docks was cut from the game. Vegas is a very unique map to me, as it stands in the list as the only one I have actually been able to find and play at times on community servers. Obviously taking place in Las Vegas at the Haxor complex, where the Ts are tasked with either blowing open a safe or, if that fails, blow up the giant Sphinx statue instead. The map was created by Mike Rosser and appeared in Beta 7 and went through many revisions until its eventual removal in version 1.5. The design had many balancing issues, which is what led to all these changes. Although the community enjoyed the map, balancing wasn't the only issue. The map would cause server crashing for many Linux systems, so many servers avoided putting it in their rotation at all, which eventually led to it being removed from the game, which also caused even more issues, as many maps created after used many assets from Vegas. On top of this, there were also legal troubles concerning the rights to certain textures used in the map, so Valve cut the contract with Rosser to include it in the retail version of Counter-Strike. Fun fact, the hotel name Haxor is a play on words of the actual hotel located in Las Vegas titled the Luxor. D-Railroad is an ambitious map featuring a large layout complete with working trains that each team can actually operate to traverse the map. Created by John Corwin and Kevin Anderson for Beta 6, the map is a great example of sounds amazing in theory, but not so much in practice. Although the map creatively utilized the train function seen in the original Half-Life, the design suffered from many issues with wide open spaces, confusing layout, and long rotation times. Players complained that there were too many long lines of sight, which catered heavily to both sniping and camping, and once the bomb was planted, the CTs would have virtually no way of getting to sites before the timer was up. Due to these reasons, the map was later removed in Beta 6.8. As cool as the idea was to have moving trains the player could control, it didn't fit well with Counter-Strike's natural gameplay loop and probably still wouldn't today either. Lastly, this is Jeepathon 2K, and aside from having the strangest name on the list, it also has the strangest concept and design I've ever seen for a map that actually made it into an official map pool. Created by Jason Bloom for Beta 7, the map layout was essentially a giant oval containing a racetrack complete with a jeep and hostages. The map was obviously a test for, well, something, and although I think it has no place competitively in Counter-Strike, it seems like a ton of fun to play with a group of friends. The Ts can either plant the bomb or eliminate the CTs, while the CTs are either to eliminate the terrorists or rescue the hostages. The layout was simple, but the hybrid mode proved to be confusing for Counter-Strike's competitive scene and was removed soon after in Beta 7.1. I actually spent more time than I'd like to admit trying to fly around the map in the Jeep, but I'll be honest, I couldn't get it to work much either. Aside from all its issues, I do appreciate the creativity that this map brought to the table, and really reminds me of how silly and strange custom maps like this really made the community have a bit of fun away from the very competitive nature of the game once in a while. So there you go, the complete list of once official defuse maps for Counter-Strike that never quite made the cut. I think we can all agree, or at least I can, that each of these maps was great in their own regard. Even if they didn't play well competitively, that's not always what it's about. I would take a unique and fun map with all its issues over a dull and boring balanced map any day of the week. I'm just kidding, by the way. But this isn't quite the end of the list. There are many more forgotten maps of Counter-Strike to explore. Next time.